Hi everyone, and welcome to a new video by the Smarter SAT Prep YouTube channel. In this example, we'll be looking at sentence addition and deletion on the SAT writing section. Specifically, I'm looking at question number 42 from official practice test number 1. So, because I'm looking at question number 42, what I'm going to do is that since this is an addition and deletion sentence example, I'm going to read pretty much the entire paragraph leading up to number 42, and then I'm going to read a sentence after just so we get good context for this question. So if I start reading, it says, these days, many students majoring in philosophy have no intention of becoming philosophers. Instead, they plan to apply those skills to other disciplines. Law and business specifically benefit from the complicated theoretical issues raised in the study of philosophy, but philosophy can be just as useful in engineering or any field requiring complex analytical skills. That these skills are transferable across professions makes them especially beneficial to 21st century students. Okay, so I get a pretty good gist of what this is saying. Essentially, what they're saying is that many people are not actually planning to become philosophers, but they study it just so that they can get skills that translate to other spaces. So essentially, if I plan to study philosophy in college, I can use the skills that I gain in philosophy to help me succeed in other lines of work. So if I look at the sentence directly before this, it says philosophy can be just as useful in engineering or any field requiring complex analytical skills. So that goes along with what I've been saying. And the sentence after says that these skills are transferable across professions, makes them especially beneficial to 21st century students. So essentially, philosophy gives you good skills, and then now those skills are especially useful in this changing kind of work climate of the 21st century. So now it's asking us to look at this sentence and see if it makes sense. So it says, at this point, the writer is considering adding the following sentence. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, for example, wrote many of his works in the form of dialogues. Should the writer make this addition here? So before we even jump into this, let's just understand what we're doing here. We're inserting a sentence between two sentences that say what? The first sentence says philosophy has good skills, and the second one says those skills are very useful in today's work climate. So really, what this sentence that I have here, it really should be referring to something regarding either A, philosophy's skills, or B, why those skills are important. Because I'm sandwiching it between two sentences that say those exact same things. Now let's look at the sentence they gave us. The Greek philosopher Plato, for example, wrote many of his works in the form of dialogues. It should be pretty obvious to you that this doesn't really follow with what those two sentences specifically refer to. Now, the reason why this can get confusing is because if we look at choices A and B, they actually do make sense. That this sentence reinforces the passage's main claim about the employability of philosophy. That's true. The passage does mention that. And B, it acknowledges a common counter-argument to the passage's claim. That is true as well. This passage is saying that, yes, philosophy is useful even though many people think it's not. But if we look at the choices below, we have no because it blurs the paragraph's focus by introducing a new idea that goes unexplained, which we also know is true. They don't really expand on this idea of Plato. So which one is correct? Now, when it comes to these kind of questions, I wrote down here below that there are two clear principles that you need to look for. Number one, continuity, and number two, clarity. And when it comes to these kind of questions in the SAT, you have to follow it in this order. Number one, always look for continuity and then look for clarity. Now, what does that mean? That means that continuity, or the way that sentences go together and how they flow, should always be more important than exactly how they fit into the passage. So if we look at this, well, yes, this sentence does reinforce the passage's main point and it acknowledges a counter-argument. It really does not flow with these two sentences that they have before and after it. So on the SAT, you want to always look for continuity. Is there a flow between the two? And in this case, there simply isn't. This sentence would make more sense if it was placed somewhere else in the passage, but because it does not maintain continuity, it blurs the paragraph's focus. I'm essentially throwing in this idea, which has nothing to do with what the paragraph says, and so while it does support the main point, it lacks cohesion, and that's ultimately what the SAT is most looking for in these kind of questions. Is there cohesion? Which is why C is the right answer to this question. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.